Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be still covering adaptations, but we are going to hone in or zero in on hibernation. The teak for this adaptation is explain variations, and variation are differences within a population or a species by comparing features, behaviors, or physiology of organisms that enhance their survival, such as migration, hibernation, or storage of food in a bulb. So they were going to talk about just how it is that hibernation helps an organism to survive. And it says that you're comparing like species or a population. And that's because, like, while bears do hibernate, not all bears hibernate. So for some bears, the having developed the behavior of hibernation is some kind of adaptation that is of benefit to that particular type of bear. So besides bears, I want you to remember that there are other organisms that hibernate as well, such as turtles and bees, um, lemurs, groundhogs, skunks, hedgehogs, bats. Uh, for example, I remember my mom used to have a turtle, Giuseppe, and he lived in her yard, but every winter he would dig under her storage shed and spend the winter there, and then in the spring he would reappear. And then one day he just ran off. So hibernation, what is it? It's a deep state of sleep. So during the hibernation, what we're going to see that animal, the temperature goes down. Their temperature goes down. Their heart rate slows down. And the breathing also slows down. So it's like they are just shutting down, making their bodies work very little. And why do they do that? Well, to conserve energy. If they were running, they would be using a lot more energy. If they were awake, moving around in their dens, they'd use a lot more energy. And why do they need to conserve energy? Or why is it that they're going to hibernate again? They slow everything down to conserve energy, but why do they hibernate? And that's because of the resources, the food and water that is available to them during the winter. Resources like food. Other animals may be hibernating, or maybe they migrated. Water may freeze over and they don't have access to fish or frogs or something else they might have eaten had the pond, river, whatever, ponds or lakes not frozen over. So hibernation allows animals like that list we just went through to use that energy that they did store very slowly and hopefully make it through those winter months without having to go out and hunt. So what do they do to get ready for this? Well, they prepare by gorging themselves, by eating as much food as they can to build up fat. And that fat is stored around their heart, their lungs, their brain, and think about it. Those are really necessary organs, and fat is an insulator. So it will keep those really important organs warm, as well as storing calories and food for them to eat slowly. It cannibalizes their body, and what it eats first is that fat. So let's watch an example of a caterpillar that is a master of this.
It's the start of summer, and these Arctic woolly bear caterpillars are in a race against time. They feast while they can, making the most of long summer days. Their goal is to reach an optimum weight to enable them to pupate into a moth, completing their life cycle. But this far north, summer is brief. Soon, the days begin to shorten. Winter is coming. This woolly bear has not managed to eat enough to transform into a moth. Time has run out. As temperatures plummet, it settles under a rock to await its fate. Still alive, its body starts to freeze. Its heart stops beating. Blood turned to ice. The depths of winter. For 5 months, temperatures won't rise above -30. Spring, and the thaw begins. The caterpillar miraculously rises from the dead and begins to feed. But no matter how fast the woolly bears eat, they won't be able to pupate this year either. The cold closes in once again. The years pass, the seasons come and go, and still the caterpillars feed while they can, before being wrapped again in an icy embrace. By breaking down their cell components and flooding their bodies with antifreeze chemicals, amazingly, the caterpillars can survive, withstanding temperatures as low as -70 degrees centigrade. Eventually, a very special summer arrives, as this will be its last. Only now has it eaten enough to make the transformation into an adult. It's 7 years old, the world's oldest caterpillar. Days later, the adult moth emerges. It must now find a partner and mate. The woolly bears can only complete their life cycle because of their incredible adaptation. It's their extraordinary solution to living in such a hostile and marginal habitat.
Wow. So that little woolly bear has to, go through many, many years. And if he doesn't gorge himself enough, eat enough, then he is not able to have enough energy to make his cocoon and then become a moth. That's a lot of work. Alrighty. Here's another short video about how animals, and you saw this also, it's not just mammals and reptiles, but it also includes insects.
I just got up from a long nap and it feels really great to get some rest. And outside, there are lots of animals just getting ready for a very long rest because it's going to be winter soon. Animals like groundhogs. Groundhogs are little animals that are about half a meter long. They live in the United States and Canada and spend a lot of their time in burrows that they dig into the ground. And right now, groundhogs are trying to get everything ready for a perfect cozy den. They're preparing for hibernation. Hibernation is like a deep, deep sleep that some animals go into during the winter. They'll sleep for months and months and they don't wake up until spring. Oh, those animals aren't necessarily sleepy squeaks. Hibernation is a way for animals to survive the colder winter months. You see, animals normally need plenty of food to survive, but during cold winter months, lots of the food that animals like to eat goes away. In snowy, cold places, the leaves fall off the trees, fruit stops growing, and even the bugs go away. For animals that eat these things, it can be a hungry few months. To survive, some animals will migrate, meaning they'll travel somewhere else where there's more food, like birds that fly to somewhere warmer. Other animals, like squirrels, will store food away to eat when it's cold. But animals like groundhogs can't move somewhere else, and they can't store enough food to last all winter. That's right, Squeaks. They have to hibernate. If a groundhog is hibernating, it doesn't matter if there isn't a lot of food around because the groundhog is fast asleep. I know you still need to wake up and eat after sleeping, but it's different for hibernating animals because hibernating is more than a long nap. Animals spend a long time preparing for hibernation. Before they hibernate, a groundhog will spend weeks eating as much as possible. That little groundhog becomes a great big groundhog with a thick layer of body fat. Then, once it's time, they'll cuddle up in their burrow and go to sleep. Now, normally, when a groundhog goes to sleep, their body rests a little bit, but their lungs keep breathing and their heart keeps pumping blood normally. To keep working, the groundhog's lungs and heart need energy from the food they eat. But during the type of very deep sleep the groundhog goes into when they hibernate, their lungs and heart slow way down. Their heart only beats about 5 times a minute, and they only breathe about twice a minute. They go so slowly, they don't use as much energy. And since the groundhog's body isn't using very much energy, they don't have to wake up every day to eat more food. Instead, they can use the energy they've already stored. That's right, Squeaks. The groundhog uses the energy they stored up from eating all of that food in the weeks before they hibernated. The layer of fat the groundhog put on in the fall slowly gets used up for energy. And by the time the groundhog needs to wake up to eat, it's time for spring. Lots of different animals can hibernate, like bats, chipmunks, and hedgehogs. Bats will even hibernate in large colonies, all huddled together to share warmth. Whoa! I don't know if robots need to hibernate, Squeaks, but maybe it's time for you to take a nap. What do you think it would be like to hibernate all winter long? Can you think of any other animals that rest during the colder months? Ask a grown-up to help you. Leave a comment below or send us an email to kids@scishow.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time here at the fort.
All right, so just a little bit more information about hibernation. Oops. Alrighty, so these are the notes that should be going into your notebook. Just hibernation is a deep sleep. The temperature goes down, their heart rate, their breathing slows down. And why? To conserve energy. And why? Because during the winter months, there's not a lot of food and there's not a lot of liquid water. And so that by hibernating, they that food that they gorged on and that ate a lot and built fat, they cannibalize their body and use that to live on. And then when spring comes and the rains come, then they're able to wake up and, go along their lives. So don't forget to answer the exit question. Also make sure Check Schoology for any missing work. All right, guys, have a good day, and we'll talk tomorrow.